Welcome to the Rediscover You in Midlife Pod Summit, hosted by The Roller Coaster. My name is Lucy Q. 5 years ago, the emotional turmoil of midlife turned my life into a shitstorm. To make things worse, I had no idea that my chaotic emotions were due to the roller coaster of midlife. I thought I was crazy, and I felt completely alone. I've come to realize that midlife is more than a list of symptoms that we have to endure or cure. Midlife is the beginning of our next chapters. This is our time to be heard, to live our best lives, and to fix those pesky hormones. Join me as I chat with experts and industry leaders about nutrition, bone health, hormones, mindset, healing, journaling, living life to the fullest, and yes, even sex. I'm inviting you to throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride. I was finally able to start my journaling practice back in 2018, but that was only after several failed attempts. Before I was really able to connect with journaling, I had purchased countless blank journals with high hopes of pouring myself onto their pages. Instead of spilling my words of wisdom and insight, I'd find myself sitting there just staring at blank pages, painfully trying to find something to write. That is why I created Your Journaling Journey, a quick start guide to begin your journaling practice today. Your Journaling Journey is a guided journal with daily prompts, gratitude, and affirmations. You can get your copy of Your Journaling Journey today on Amazon or check out the show notes for links. Welcome back to the Rediscover You in Midlife Pod Summit. I'm your host, Lucy Q, and joining me today is Leah Marie Mazur. Leah Marie is a certified divorce recovery coach for women and founder of Mindfully Ready, LLC. She specializes in helping women rebuild their self-confidence so that they can live their best lives after divorce. She offers one-on-one coaching sessions while providing a safe, judgment-free community for women rebuilding after divorce in her private Facebook group, Divorced and Empowered. Welcome, Leah Marie.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
Now, I can only imagine that divorce is challenging regardless of when it hits in life. I've been married for almost 30 years now, but recently I have had some girlfriends going through divorce, and they're all saying the same thing. They're questioning, how do I even begin? How do I rebuild my life? How do I restart things at this age in my life? Because many women, when they're hitting those midlife years, they're thinking about, retiring with their partners. And then all of a sudden everything changes and they have to rethink this vision that they've possibly had for the past 30 years. Can you maybe share a little bit about your experiences and how it's influenced this part of your life?
Yeah, so for me personally, what led to what I do now, I'll take you back to when I was 16 years old. My mom actually had an asthma attack in our home and passed away. And then 5 years later, my dad died of pancreatic cancer, and I'm an only child. So there was a lot of trauma in a short amount of time. And so I had really deep-seated abandonment issues, fears of being alone, which I didn't realize until my 30s that that's really what was going on. But because of those issues, I became a serial monogamist and I was hopping from one relationship to the next. And it wasn't until my second divorce that I really had my aha moment. And I said to myself, okay, obviously something's not working here. We've got some patterns we need to break. We need to figure out what's going on. And that's when I really dove deep into all the things, therapy and meditation and journaling and gratitude practice and the books and the podcasts and everything to try to figure out how to love myself, accept myself, be okay with being alone. Um, so for the women who are in midlife and are going through something like this, the the important thing to remember is number one, you're not alone, and it could feel really isolating, but you're not alone. And so getting support can make a huge difference, especially if you can talk to women who have been there and who get it, who know what's going on. And also, this is an opportunity for you to really get to know yourself again. Like you said, if you've had this image of what your future was going to look like, and then all of a sudden everything comes crashing down and you've got to start all over again, this is a chance for you to really figure out who you are and what you want and what kinds of things you want to create for yourself. It's an opportunity to learn to love yourself and to stand on your own 2 feet and create the life that you really want.
You said you had an aha moment when you realized that you had some stuff to fix. And I think,
Hmm.
whether the catalyst is something like divorce or, your kids going away to university and you're starting to realize that life is changing, that aha moment can come and it's different for everybody. So, what did yours look like?
Mine was a little bit of grief, and it was learning how to forgive myself. It was realizing I needed to forgive myself for my mistakes and my decisions, and that it was okay that I had basically made the same mistake twice. Um, and that it was okay because I could learn from it. It was a chance for me to figure out what shifts I needed to make so that I got different results. Because if I kept doing the same thing that I had been doing, I was going to keep getting the same results that I had been getting. And so a lot of that for me was that self-discovery. I dove into meditation pretty deeply so that I could cultivate self-awareness. When you have self-awareness, then you're more empowered to make different choices because you can pay closer attention to the thoughts that you think and the decisions that you make or your patterns and your behaviors, and then that allows you to shift them.
Were you hiding from those feelings before you gave yourself that quiet time? Now that you can look back, do you think that you were, busying yourself in different areas of your life so that you didn't have to go there?
Yeah, yeah, after my first divorce, I hopped right into another relationship, and brought all my wounds with me, right? Because I didn't take the time to figure out what I needed or what I wanted or who I was, and what my role was. When you're getting a divorce, it's important to figure out what role you played. Take responsibility. And this isn't a blame game. This isn't about pointing the fingers, but you did play a role. And so you need to figure out what things you don't want to repeat in the future, what things you won't tolerate again in the future, what things you need now that you weren't getting before. It's a chance for you to really assess everything so that you can make better choices for you.
And I think, whether you're getting divorced or you've been married for 30 years, I think there's value at any point to take that pause and ask yourself, what role are you playing in this relationship, whatever that relationship is, and look for those repeating patterns that you may not want to continue. Because, I can look at my own marriage, and over the past 5 years, I've had to do a lot of that deep work myself. And, you can look back and you can realize, okay, yeah, I was playing the victim. I was
Hmm.
creating these situations because there's things I didn't understand about myself.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. I mean, it all goes, but we all have shit, right? No matter, I don't care what kind of relationship you're in or how old you are, there's just shit that we bring with us from childhood, from a long, long time ago, from our parents and from our parents' parents, right? This stuff is passed down, and there are things that we grow up in, different environments. We don't realize why we're developing the patterns that we have or the belief systems that we have. So when you get to a certain point in life, where it's impeding on your happiness or your well-being, then it's your responsibility to do that self-reflection and figure out, okay, what's going on here? What kind of beliefs can I challenge? What kinds of things do I really need? And maybe I'm not communicating in the way that I should be communicating. It's not as effective as if I maybe approached it a different way.
And one of the things that I found really challenging, you know, supporting my friends going through divorce, there's certain, things that you can support them, just the basics of dealing with lawyers and getting this and dealing with banks and stuff like that. But the part that is really I don't know how to help support friends through. And that's, helping them make that transition to single life. I don't know what that's like. It's not
Hmm.
where I am, it's where I hope I'll never be. But how do I begin? How does a married friend start to support their friend once they do become in that single status?
Hmm. Just listening, just telling them that you're there. Because honestly, even if you had gone through a divorce, the advice that you have to give might not necessarily be the best, most practical advice for them because everybody is so different and their situations are different and where they are in their journey. So it's not about being able to advise them or give guidance necessarily. It's just being there for support, saying, if you need to talk, I'm here to listen. If you want to get out of the house, I'll go get a coffee with you. Just letting them know that you're there is really all you need to do.
That's good to know because it feels kind of awkward. I'll be honest, because
Yeah.
your friend is now single and they're asking, well, what do they do? And they're starting to talk about, maybe relationships that they're entertaining. And I'm like, I have been out of that game for way too long. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I met my husband in a bar. I don't think people do that anymore.
Yeah, not as often. No, now it's more of like the online dating apps and things like that.
Yeah.
But just if your friend hasn't already, I would suggest joining support groups. I mean, those are great because she can connect with other women who are in that phase as well. And maybe there's also dating coaches and things that specialize in that specific chapter of your life. And so it's about getting support, right? If you don't know what you're doing, get somebody who knows what they're doing to guide you and give you the tools and help you through it so that you're not just kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks.
So when you're working with women, how do you guide them through the journey then? Are there specific steps that you take them through? Is there a process?
Yeah, so I actually developed a process through my own recovery. And then after coaching a lot of women, I call it my divorce recovery. So So there's three main stages you can break it down to really with anybody. The first is helping them work through any of the big emotions that are keeping them stuck: guilt, shame, feelings of failure, anger, resentment, things like that. The second is narrowing down where they need the most support. So, for example, for me, when I was going through it, I was really afraid of being alone. So I was struggling with that aspect of things. So, figuring out where they need the most support so that we can kind of gain that momentum. And then the third element is helping them gain clarity on who they are. What do you want? Where do you want to go from here? And so that's so because really it is different for everybody, but everybody's struggling with specific obstacles that kind of relate, if that makes sense. And so this allows you to attach to the emotions, attach to where you need the most support, and then attach to where you want to go. Coaching is very future focused. So that's what we help with, is figuring out where you are now, where you want to get to, and then giving you actionable steps to get you in that direction.
And in that first phase that you spoke about working through big emotions, you mentioned failure. And I think
Hmm.
that's one of the things that I heard the most is, my friends were carrying this massive guilt and this feeling of failure that, they're at this point in their life they should know better, they should be doing better, yet they found themselves stumbling. How do you how do you help somebody see, whether it's a do you even categorize it as a failure? How do you get them to see the different side of things?
I don't ever categorize it as a failure because, in my opinion, it's only a failure if you didn't learn anything. No matter what it was that you've gone through in your life, if you learned something, then it's not a failure. But really, that aspect of things comes down to that inner voice, that narrative, your own inner critic, right? Self-talk. And so helping them identify the narrative and the thoughts that they're looping in their mind, and then shifting it to a different narrative, so that they can change how they feel. Because if you're telling yourself, I'm a failure, I should be further along, I should have done this, I could have done this differently, and maybe I should have tried this. if you're in that loop, then you're always going to be feeling like shit. Like, I feel like a failure. I feel like I should have done this differently. I feel so if you shift that inner narrative by first identifying what's going on and then choosing new true thoughts that you can believe, that is going to change the way you feel. And if it changes the way you feel, it's going to change the decisions you make, the actions that you take. And once you change your actions, you get different results.
And I think that inner critic, regardless of what we're encountering in life, I think that's probably the biggest obstacle that many of us have to get over is understanding how we can be our own worst enemy
Hmm.
and repeating those things to ourselves that, I mean, let's face it, you wouldn't repeat it to a friend,
Yeah.
but you're repeating it to yourself.
Yeah.
And that feeds, if you're constantly beating yourself up, that feeds into everything else that you're doing. Once you're able to identify and label what you're doing and then become aware of whenever you're letting it crop up,
Hmm.
that's when things start to change.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's why affirmations are such a great tool because they're free. First of all, there are countless different affirmations, but it really helps reprogram your subconscious. It gives you new thoughts to think and new beliefs to hold on to. So, because the thing is, no matter where you are in life, even if you're incredibly successful, that inner critic is always there. It always exists. It can always creep in. And so it's not about not having one anymore. It's about being able to recognize that voice and then choosing to ignore it and choosing to think a different thought or to believe a different belief.
For anyone not familiar, can you just share a bit more about what an affirmation is?
So, an affirmation is a statement or a mantra that is usually positive or neutral that you can repeat to yourself to help train your brain, reprogram your subconscious to think a different thought. So, for example, if someone is saying to themselves, I'm a failure, you can shift that and use a different affirmation that is, i'm I am forgiving myself for all of my mistakes. I am healing more and more every day, right? I am whole and happy and loved. There are different statements that you can repeat to yourself until your belief actually shifts. And that's the thing we have to remember too. It takes time. Sometimes when you're saying affirmations, it's like, God, I'm just like lying to myself. Like, these things are true, right? But the more you speak them, the more you believe them. That's how those negative thoughts crept in anyway. It wasn't like once you heard something negative and then all of a sudden that's your narrative. You've told yourself that over and over and over again until it became a belief, right? So you have to just do the same, but for the opposite. So you can speak those positive mantras over and over again until they become a belief as well.
As you were saying that, I had the image of, and obviously the women listening to this, if you're listening to something about midlife, then you're going to recognize what a cassette tape was. But that's
Oh yeah.
literally, you know, that's what popped into my head is that we all have this cassette tape that's in our brain of all of the shit that we've been telling ourselves. And it's been like playing and playing and playing. And when it got to the end, it would rewind, you'd go back to the beginning, and it'd be playing. And affirmations is the beginning of recording over,
Yeah. Right.
creating that new, I mean, who didn't sit around creating their own tape
Mixtapes.
mix?
Yeah,
you know, and
exactly.
and I guess, for me, as you were talking about affirmations, it's like, yeah, that's what we're doing is we're taking that tape, and you have to put enough of the good stuff on there to record over all of the bad messages that we've been telling ourselves for the past 30, 40, 50 years.
That's right. And it's like fake it till you make it. Really the only difference between somebody who's not confident and somebody who is confident is that they've told themselves that they're amazing more times, right? They keep, they're not, it's not like they've never made mistakes. It's not like they haven't, tried things and quote unquote failed. It's that they just don't let that stop them. They keep getting up and trying again. And they tell themselves, I can do it. And they tell themselves, I'm amazing and I'm smart and I'm whole and I'm happy and I'm worthy, right? And somebody who's not confident has a different inner narrative.
And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to confidence. And people think that it's something that they're either born with or they're not. And I
No.
look at confidence as more of a muscle that
Yes.
you actually, whatever you're trying to do, there's an element of fear. And that
Hmm.
fear is what plays with our confidence. But you have to find, however you do it, you have to dig down and find that courage so that you can push past the fear. And every time
Hmm.
you push past the fear, even if it's just like dipping a toe in the water,
Hmm.
it just that confidence muscle gets stronger and stronger.
Totally. Yeah, nobody's born like that. That's something that's learned. And and that is how you do it. And that's the thing is you can't wait. If there's something you want to do, you can't wait to have the confidence to go do it. That's not how it works. Confidence comes after you do the scary thing scared, right? And then you go, "Oh, I didn't die." And so then that builds your confidence and you go, "Oh, well, if I could do this, then maybe I could do that. And if I could do this, well, then I could try this." Right? So you do, everybody has that fear, that worry, or the unknown. I mean, there's so many factors that can pop up, but the difference is you can either block them, have them block you from doing the scary thing, or you can have those fears come up and just do the scary thing anyway. And then that is how your confidence is going to build. Our brains are just not wired to do things outside of our comfort zone. And it really isn't how it works. Our brains like to keep us nice and safe and in very predictable situations. So when we try to do something that is out of our comfort zone, our brains go, whoa, 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 there's fear, there's danger. Oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? You better be careful. You better go back and sit down. So that's going to come up no matter what, anytime you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. So just remind yourself, okay, thanks brain for trying to keep me safe, but I can just ignore you for now and do the scary thing, and whatever happens, I am capable, and I will get through it.
And you touched on something there that, again, we do so often, and that's we project something into the future where we say, when I reach this milestone, then I'll do, and you use it in the example of when I feel confident, then I'll do this. And I'm quite sure that the same could be true for, women trying to get back into the dating world, where they're saying, it could be, when I lose 20 pounds, then I'll feel more confident to be dating. Or, when I just get this done, then I'll be more confident to get out there in the world or to do this and to do that. How do you help women start to get past, that future projecting?
Guiding them and basically making them do it anyway. and then
Rip off
and
the
then
band-aid.
supporting them. Yeah, supporting them through it so then they can see, oh yeah, this isn't so bad, because you can sit around and wait forever. Those are just excuses. When it comes down to it, you're thinking of excuses why not to take action now, right? And so it's important because no matter what you weigh, that shouldn't matter to your ideal person, right? So whether you're 40 pounds heavier or lighter, it doesn't make a difference. What is meant for you will not miss you. So it doesn't make any sense to waste any more time if what you want to do is date. Just get out there and date, whether you lose the 40 pounds or not.
I love what you just said there. What is meant for you will not miss you.
So true.
That is that is such a gem. And I think, whoever we are, whatever stage we are in life, I think that wisdom can apply to all of us at any stage.
Definitely. Yeah, because we forget, right? We get so worried about, oh, I'm going to make the wrong choice. I'm going to take the wrong step. I'm going to do the wrong thing. Or what if this isn't the right road to take? But if you just trust, if you have that trust in kind of something bigger than you, like in the universe or God or whatever it is that you believe, trust that, hey, what is done for me will not miss me. I am supported here. And whatever road I take, that's the road I'm supposed to take.
Love it. Love it. Now, as we wrap up, I want to touch a little bit on the gift that you have for our listeners that are joining us for the Pod Summit. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. So I put together 30 days of positive affirmations. It's going to help with acceptance, self-love moving forward. This is a great bundle of affirmations specifically for someone who is either going through or recovering from a divorce. And so you can either take the 30 affirmations and pick out your favorites and repeat them every day, or you can use it throughout the year, and each day of each month you just read a new one and you repeat that to yourself, and it's going to help you with that negative self-talk and shift that inner dialogue.
So for anybody that's listening to us through the Pod Summit and the Pod Summit emails, to get your copy of the 30 Days of Affirmations, it is a PDF to help you find acceptance, inner peace, and self-love after divorce. Make sure you go to nectargrowth.com. That's nectargrowth.com. And by being part of the Pod Summit, you will receive the first 30 days free. But I know once you get in there, this is a fabulous community and you are going to want to be part of this. It is also completely away from all forms of social media. And it has different tools and resources in there for you. And we're adding more every month. And we are also starting something new, and it's what I call the Fireside Chat. And this is where you can connect with women that are just like you to share an authentic conversation. And yes, ladies, we are even going to vent. So make sure you join us at nectargrowth.com. You can find links in the show notes and also in your daily Pod Summit emails. And as we wrap up, I'd like to thank you for joining us. And I'd like to thank Leah Marie for sharing your story and all of your expertise.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creative.